For 83 years, one Texas family has cared for the same land. Generation after generation, they've raised cattle, managed the grasslands, conserved the water, and helped feed American families. They aren't just running a business. They're carrying on a legacy built through decades of hard work, sacrifice, and stewardship. Now that legacy faces a new challenge, a proposed 765 kV transmission line. Among the highest voltage transmission lines in the world, it's planned to come directly through the middle of their working cattle ranch. This isn't just about one family. America's already lost tens of thousands of independent farms and ranches over the past several decades. The U.S. cattle herd is at its lowest level in more than 70 years. Every time another working ranch is divided, disrupted, or forced to change the way it operates, we lose more than open land. We lose food production, rural economies, and another piece of our agricultural heritage. Today, we're talking with the family behind the Great Southern Ranch about what this project would mean for their operation, their employees, and the future of their family in Texas. One thing that makes America unique is our right to personal property. It's the great American dream to work hard, gain the fruit of your labor, and invest it in a home or a land or a business, something we can be proud of and pass on to our posterity. It's the real equalizer, the best way someone with nothing can build something substantial and bless their family line for generations to come. And in America, we may have taken that right for granted. We see land taken in other countries, but not ours. No way, not in America, until now. But these transmission lines seem to come with an expectation by those planning them. If they prove need, which they should have to do, and we believe if they pause, they won't be able to prove, because there is another way, a more efficient, less expensive, and less hindering of property rights way to provide additional energy to the Permian Basin. They don't need to take private, multi-generational, working cattle land that we can never get back once it's gone. This is just one family's story, but they speak for countless others. Please listen close and open your hearts and allow yourself to consider an America where corporations decide whose land is important and whose isn't. We must stand now, today. I'm Molly Vogt, and this is American Energy Works, the show that exposes how energy policy shapes our lives, our wallets, and our nation's strength. America runs on reliable, affordable energy, but powerful interests are working to shut it down. Here, we cut through the noise and shine a light on the real energy behind America's prosperity, our abundant, God-given resources, and the hard work, innovation, and freedom of the men and women who power this great nation. Because when we lose control of our energy, we lose control of our freedom. We're here to share the truth, to preserve that freedom for ourselves and for generations to come. This is American Energy Works. Frank, Cathy, Bonnie, Paige, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate y'all being here. How y'all doing?
Great. Thanks for having us, Molly.
Awesome. All right. So I want to share the story of your amazing ranch. And because it's been around for a while, let's start at the beginning. Frank, please tell us how long Great Southern Ranch has been in your family and kind of give us an example from childhood of when your family first acquired this ranch and brought you to today. Give us a brief history lesson, if you don't mind.
Well, the ranch has been in existence for 83 years. My father purchased it during World War II, 1943. He purchased it from the Great Southern Life Insurance Company and called it or named it the Great Southern Ranch as a result of that. And that name stayed with it since the start. Over the years, parcels, more parcels have been added to it. Started out with 1,160 acres or something like that, and now with the combined parcels, we're around about 2,500 acres in this ranch. Cathy and I bought another piece, 1,000 acres down south of Stephenville, 10 miles.
Tell about your childhood.
Yeah.
we lived in town. My father felt like he was a physician and felt like he needed to live close to the hospital for emergency business and whatnot. He came here in 35. And we lived down there, but I spent most of my time out here at the ranch. I loved it, and he did too. He grew up on a ranch in Iredale, and that's what 30 miles southeast of it. And he hadn't been in practice very long, so he felt like he needed a ranch of his own, and bought the place. And he and I, or he brought me along with him when I was a young kid. He's very active in the place himself, working cattle and treating sick animals and feeding and plowing. He liked to plow. And I drove on the tractor with him when he's plowing.
When did you get your first tractor?
I don't remember when, but it's sometime around 10, I guess. He bought me a Farmall Cub to ride out here. And, but I would, when they were running a dairy from the start out here, and the canned milk was brought to town every morning, and they transferred it in an old gin place about 2 blocks from our house. And I could be over there in the summertime, early in the morning when they brought the milk and come out here, and I stayed with them all day, and they'd pick me up at night when time for supper. But I've always loved this place. I wanted to be a farmer. I did ag in high school and had projects. I realized you couldn't make much money out of it. My father tried to convince me you can't make a living at it. It's something fun to do, but all farmers have got another job or to sustain the project. And so I went to medical school and did my internship at Parkland. I went to Southwestern in Dallas. And I came out of that about the time the Vietnam War was going strong and got drafted. And I spent 2 years in my Army, and a year in Vietnam. And, the last 6 months of my tour was at Fort Dix, New Jersey. And I had met this lady here, Cathy, who became my wife about 3-4 years before, when during summer medical school, when we were visiting the laboratory up in New Jersey. And we corresponded back and forth for that year in Vietnam. A lot of time for correspondence in the military. When I got stationed at Fort Dix, we got real serious about it in there, and got married in about 6 months after we met up there. So we met. As soon as we got married, we moved back down here and moved on the ranch. We sort of lived in a cabin they called a camp house on the ranch. We used to use for weekends when I was a kid growing up. And we fixed an old farmhouse up and moved into that, lived in that for the next 12 years.
And you still live on the range today.
Yeah, yeah.
And you put all your family into it. You got all your kids. Everybody's ranching now.
It came, the farmhouse wasn't big enough. She said it's over the other house.
And yes, Molly, it is an operation. We all pitch in and.
Yeah, these kids all learned how to work when they were growing up. Paige was my big time tractor driver, and she still is. Still
And Bonnie and
cuts hay in the summertime for me. Bonnie did the same thing, not quite as much as Paige did, but Paige has stayed with it. Bonnie's gone on to other things, but you know Paige lives on the place. They build a house on the place. Mm. Bonnie's about to build a house on the place. Her husband's superintendent of schools, so yeah. He helps me a lot too on the weekends. And David, Paige's He's my mechanic. He fixes everything.
Nice.
And it takes everybody when it's time to work tags. So we've got one full-time guy, and he's a grandson of my sister. And we're hoping that he's been out here 3 years full-time, and I'm hoping he can take this thing over when I'm out of the picture.
Yeah. Well, I love that you have the entire family involved, and it sounds like y'all are doing it all. I mean,
Well,
from sun up to sundown, and you're keeping it within the family. What all is involved in a family operation? Like, what does it take to keep a ranch like that operating and through the different seasons? What about the weather that we have, that, the drought that we're seeing right now? How does weather affect your ranch?
Well, everything builds around the weather, I guess. We try to put up enough hay in the summertime that we can feed the cows. And where we are, they really don't have much grazing. We've got coastal removal grass on most of the pasture, and that doesn't do anything in the wintertime. So
you're drought.
we had to have the hay.
Yeah.
And so that's really important. That's the one thing we try to raise everything, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
We also put up silage every year, and we buy the supplement to put with the silage. But we're trying to raise most of our feed out here. And when we've had a few drought years. We had one about 4 years ago that really it wiped a lot of people out. That's when the big numbers of cattle dropped in this cycle, and that's the reason why we have such a shortage of beef in this country right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're importing more beef right now than we've ever imported in this country, simply because we're not raising enough.
And we're in drought right now. A terrible
We are
drought.
right here.
Yeah.
They've had rain all around us. Right here, we haven't had it.
But going back to the drought, what he was talking about a few years ago, that was a really, really emotional time for us also, because he didn't have any hay and nobody around us had hay. And so that's my dad, what he does all the time. It's go out, check his cows, feed his cows, and do all that. And we could not imagine him not continuing that. And so, we didn't know what to do because he didn't have enough hay. And we had everybody calling across the state trying to find hay. And somehow we were able to. It wasn't the best hay, but he found that he spent a lot of money, but that way he was able to stay in and continue what he loves to do. Yes.
I felt like at my age, if I sold everything off, like most people that didn't have a nest egg that they could call back on, couldn't make it, and they went out, and the numbers went way down. That's the one reason why beef is so high right now, is that we're not raising enough calves that used to be we need.
Yeah. Yeah, we need more ranches like yours, not less. And if anybody could do it, they would. And obviously, ranching is not for the wimps. I would tell you that.
No.
So many people that in our world today, let's just say, we wake up and we just take for granted we're going to go work for some job that some other business owner is taking the risk, and that they're going to pay us no matter what every single day. And we get vacation days, we get time off. But if we don't feel good, we don't get up. But I know that ranchers like you, it doesn't matter if it rains or it snows or it shines or what happens. You got to get up and you go to work every single day, no matter what. And if you have a drought, like you said, it's not only your family that's getting together to work, it's the community that came together to help you work. Your entire community it sounds like you rally around each other. And I love that. And I want to talk about these 765 kV transmission lines, because you are right in the way of one of the avenues on the map that they're talking about coming through. How would that specifically, let's say, divide your property? Where would it cut your property, and what would that do to your operation?
Well, this ranch is situated on the north side of the Bosque River, South Fork of the Bosque River. comes through Stevensville and then heads west. We're on the north side of that. Stevensville is up to the south side. There's a golf course, housing development right across the river from us. And their proposed track for this 65,000 volt line is just on our side of the river, all along the north side of Stevensville. It comes in from the east and comes through a big farm out there which has been dedicated to housing development, and the power company's got this line right through the middle of it. It comes, and then it comes over on to our property and right along the north side of Stevensville. And what our problem is with it, especially, is the fact that it goes through our bottomland field all the way. They picked it because there's not much brush there. It's pretty easy to build a line through there, and it's a disaster for us because almost all of those borderline fields, either pieces of it are chopped off with roads right down the middle of it. And I'm concerned in the construction phase with all that heavy equipment and whatnot in there. We're grazing part of it all the time with about half of our cows. So what am I going to do with them? And they're down there messing around trying to build the line. And once it comes, then this stray voltage, it's a terrible electromagnetic field beneath this high-powered line. And we don't know what it'll do to the animals over time, what it'll do to the humans over time. Some sterility problems have developed in under these lines. They got some on the East Coast, not in this part of the country. Wildfires. If there's grass under these lines in March of the year and it's a dry year, it's a real tinderbox for these particles that get sloughed off of the line in a windstorm when your lines are flopping around. And the stray voltage that collects, apparently fences that are not well grounded and gates that are not well grounded, so made out of steel, they're gonna pick up a charge and shock you every time you touch it. Mm-hmm. That's to me, one of the worst things about it. I'm worried about the eventual things that are going to happen from this electromagnetic field that's under these lines. They don't know. Nobody's done any long-term studies apparently, and so it's a big question mark as to the long-term effects of these things.
And Molly, to circle back, the location of the potential route through the Great Southern Ranch, it's 2.88 miles. It's the widest part of the ranch, and it's through the most productive cropland, which is very problematic for the viability of our operation as a whole. So there's a potential, if the crops are reduced or production is reduced, the stocking rate for the ranch will have to reduce, which reduces the financial viability of it. So we don't know what's going to happen.
So if the crops go down, there's not enough to feed the cattle. So you've got to get rid of the cattle because there's not enough money or food or water to keep it going. So then the business is shrinking. So then what happens to your family business? What happens to your livelihood? Because it's a family operation. So at that point, what happens? Do people start getting side jobs and side gigs, or do you have to sell? I mean, what do you really think would happen? How much can you stand to lose and before it's a disaster? I mean,
we can pretty well average it out. We're not losing any money on the place. One man's got a full-time living out of it. If we cut it down smaller, it's not going to support a full-time person. So you're going to have to be more part-time stuff or cut the numbers way down where one guy can part-time take care of things. Uh, it, and we're not the only ones. It's all up and down this line. There's little operations, big operations, and the little guys have got maybe a dozen cows or 20 cows. That's actually where a large number of our beef cattle are coming from. They're coming from little operators. In the beef business, it takes acres of land to raise these cattle. You can't put them in a little pen and do it. It's not like chickens or hogs or something like that. So as these lines and city developments and data centers and all that eat up the countryside, to me, it's going to wreak havoc with the beef business in this country. Mm-hmm. And we've been a big beef producer in the world. I mean, we've been shipping lots of stuff overseas. Yeah. Now shipping it in here because we haven't got enough.
Right. But I think you are right. I mean, if it is shrunk, everybody's going to have to contribute more than they are now. And, because we can't do it the same as we've been doing it if we lose the cattle.
Has to be a smaller operation.
And Molly, to touch back on something my dad shared, we have been told repeatedly by Encore that we could farm under these lines once construction's done. But they also said in our hearing on the merits that, they do ground their equipment if they're working under these lines for extended periods. So what does that mean for us operating this heavy equipment underneath these lines trying to farm? I mean, it's a big concern, not just for us, for everyone. You say we can farm under the lines, but how? How do we do this? And there are fences and gates everywhere. All like you imagine almost 3 miles of property. Like, how is all of that grounded? How does it stay grounded? There's so many questions that we have. It's not Silway that's cleared. All of the trees, everything is clear cut. But how do we navigate this new normal? And there's no answers to the questions.
Right.
And we also have a lot of old stands of oaks, very, very old, hundreds of years old. And all of that will be clear cut. And then everything connected to it will be impacted. I mean, the ripple effect is
enormous.
It's enormous, and it's not just us. It's all across Texas. This is going to happen to.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of end with each of you. If you want, just share what you want with the PUC, Governor Abbott, and our Texas legislators. I'm going to share this with them. Let's tell them exactly what this ranch means to each of you, what you had planned on this, doing. Were you giving it to, was grandchildren in the picture? Are they going to start riding the tractors before they ever had a driver's license for a car? Like, what did you see in the future, and what do you want them to think about, consider that you think maybe they haven't done yet? So feel free, go ahead, whoever wants to.
I think that it's really unfair to go through here with a big line like this when there's an alternative that doesn't interfere with the lives of so many people. A power plant in the Permian with the lives of so many people. A power plant in the Permian. I can't understand. We hadn't heard from Abbott and the group in Austin. We haven't heard much. Why aren't they wanting to generate more power? We haven't got enough power to take care of the data center. We're going to have to generate it someplace. Let's put it out there where it's needed, not try to push it all the way across the state.
Right.
That's
Well,
my take.
On a personal basis, we have loved this ranch. Can't even talk. Go ahead.
We all love the ranch. I mean, we've lived out here since we were little bitty. I moved away, but, as soon as I could come back, I came back. My kids were raised out here. My son is getting married, and he hopes in a few years that he and his wife will get to move out here and build a house. And, one thing that I want also people to consider is when farms and things have to make changes and downsize, it doesn't just hurt us and the farms. It hurts the whole community. because the farms are tied to so many. They're tied to the vets, and the feed stores and the mechanics, and there's so much. There's a ripple effect, like Bonnie said, about the whole community and the farms and the ranches that are here. And so I want them to consider it's not just us; it's everybody.
The legacy of Texas, we're losing some of that when we take away those generational ranches, those heritage farms, those large contiguous tracts, and a way of life is gone forever. But this impacts everyone, large and small. And I think so many voices in this discussion or in this fight have been lost based on how the process is put together. The whole PUC process, the docket. I wish there could be some changes to have more of a voice of the landowners and the pro se interveners into the process, because every step of the way, it makes me want to cry. We lost important stories and important voices every step because the barriers to entry into this fight were so large. And so I thank you, Molly, for telling these stories to let our voices be heard, but everybody's voice, because we're going to lose the heritage of Texas without taking a step back.
And, you know, one thing, my other sister is not here, but she said the Great Southern is like another person. I mean, it is part of all of us. And so that's something to consider too. I mean, through all this, we have known how much the Great Southern means to us. I mean, we have spent our lives out here, but just going through this, it has meant so much more than it ever has before, because all of these things, not that we took for granted, but we didn't think about every day, are things that we think about now more and more.
Yeah.
Cathy?
I just think it's unfair.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it's not over yet. We are all fighting together, just like everybody in your community came together during the drought to help with the hay. I believe that your community and all of Texas are going to come together on this. Our legislators are listening. I know you've probably seen that 43 signed on to the amicus brief asking for the PUC and ERCOT to pause these lines, and let's think about more efficient, effective ways to actually get electric generation into the Permian. We know it can be done and it should be done. The cost is way too expensive. Not only what's going to happen to our electric rates, but what's going to happen to our businesses, our ranch, our farms, our communities, our economy, and our beautiful, pristine Texas, and of course, our way of life as freedom, patriot Americans. So I just want to say thank you all for sharing your story with me today, and we will have you back on soon. God bless you all. For 83 years, Great Southern Ranch has produced something all Texans depend on, but too often take for granted: food. This story isn't just about one ranch. It's about whether Texas will continue to support the families who feed us, or ask them to sacrifice their land and their livelihoods for infrastructure that many believe deserves a closer look. Every proposed route on Encore's map crosses someone's home, their business, their dreams. In this case, it crosses generations of a stewardship and a working cattle operation that's helped feed our communities for more than 8 decades. As Texans, we owe it to ourselves to ask whether every reasonable alternative has been fully considered before decisions like these permanently reshape our rural landscape, limit our food supply, and increase our electricity rates. And I will continue telling these stories behind the maps, because every route represents real people, real families, and real Texas communities. Thank you for watching. God bless you, and God bless Texas. We're here to share the truth, to preserve that freedom for ourselves and for generations to come. This is American Energy.